What's up? I'm Jason Schmidt. I play Buddy Aldridge in Grease Rise of the Pink Ladies, and you're watching Pop Culture with Pat.
Hey guys, welcome back to Pop Culture with Pat. So I am so excited today to be joined by today's guests. Today I am talking to Jason Schmidt, who plays Buddy in Grease Rise of the Pink Ladies, which is now actually streaming on Paramount Plus. Thank you for coming on the show today, Jason.
Thank you for having me, Pat.
Of course. So we're going to be talking all things about Grease Rise of the Pink Ladies, but before we get into that, I wanted to ask you, so you're an actor, obviously, you're a singer, songwriter, do all of these things. So how did all
Mhm.
of this kind of get started for you initially, and who were some of your inspirations growing up?
Oh, absolutely. I got started with music when I was really little. My grandma was a piano teacher, so she taught me and all my siblings and all my cousins piano. I actually did not really practice that much growing up. I actually hated practicing. I quit piano, but I did get into theater around that time. I ended up going back into piano later in high school because I was like, oh, maybe this will be useful for me. Um, I did theater starting around age 9. My older sister did this community theater near us, and so I was interested. It looked like a lot of fun. She made a lot of friends, to be honest, was the reason I got into it, and I made a lot of friends doing it. I did The Hobbit the musical, which was written by the community theater I was at. It was like 3 hours long, but I had the time of my life doing it at least. And from there on out, I was just kind of fell in love with the arts. I started songwriting 3, 4 years ago when I got into college. I went to Carnegie Mellon in Pittsburgh, and my future roommate at the time, he was a rapper and had released an album just as soon as we got there freshman year, and I was so impressed by it, and I had this interest in music and writing and used to kind of dabble a little bit. My family would love it at the gatherings when I'd make little comedy songs, like improv comedy songs, but he kind of inspired me to start writing, and now that's like one of the most important parts of my life, and we've written a few songs together, me and him, and stuff like that. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, so as I say, you got you're dabbling in like a little bit of like everything there. So it's
Yeah.
definitely a lot going on. And now Rise of the Pink Ladies, it's officially streaming. What are just
Yeah.
kind of your thoughts that now that the project it's finally here, it's out for everyone to see finally?
I'm so excited. I'm so excited to see what people think of it. I'm so excited to hear all the fans talking about it back and forth. Honestly, we've had some months in between wrapping up and now it getting put out, so I've had the time to kind of process it and go through my head, and I was kind of left with this feeling of pride. Like when I was doing it, when I would get a new script, I'd feel proud about working on it, or a new song, or watching one of the new dances. I felt proud, and seeing the product, I still feel proud. So at the end of the day, that's kind of where I'm at with it. I'm proud.
Yeah, no, I mean you should be for sure. I've gotten to see, several of the episodes like already and I absolutely love the show, love all the characters. You guys did a
Thank
fantastic job. So I think yeah, definitely something that you guys should be proud of.
you so much.
Now you have fans obviously of the original Grease film, it's a classic, it's iconic. But there might also be some people who this will be their first experience with the world of Grease. What
Yeah.
can people expect from the series and the different characters that inhabit it?
Yeah, I think it has something for everybody. I think when you're doing a show that has such iconic source material, there's that happy balance you're trying to find of honoring and giving the people who are such big fans of Grease what they're going to want from the series, but also it's a new installation into the universe. So you're trying to kind of add something to the universe. And our showrunner said something that really struck me. She said that Grease is the 70s take on the 50s, and Grease Rise of the Pink Ladies is kind of the 2023 take on the 70s take on the 50s.
Yep.
And I think that really rings true. I think there's this modern lens that you kind of see it through with the characters. It's still got the spunk and the energy and the
Okay.
wit of Grease, but it's got this fresh new world, and these characters kind of see things from a lens that we might see it in 2023. And the music also is on that spectrum of decades as well. It has some stuff that's a little more 50s, stuff that's a little more modern, and I think that's kind of what makes it special.
Yeah, there's a couple of takes of songs, based off like the original, but then there's also a lot of like new music, specifically for Rise of the Pink Ladies. So there's definitely something, like you said, for everybody out there. Now, so
Yeah.
you mentioned yourself, you've been a part of theater, musicals since you were, little. So what does it mean for you personally to be a part of the world of Grease and just carry on this legacy for a new generation?
Honestly, it's really only kind of hit me as I've started to do these interviews of like it is such a crazy experience to be in this universe. I don't know why I didn't like process that while filming it. I was a big fan of Grease growing up. My mom, it's one of her favorite movies, so it was kind of a mandatory watch for us. Um, but I loved it and I love musicals and there's such a huge fan base for this movie and this
Oh yeah.
universe. And it's just kind of special. It's to be a part of a universe is I don't know. It's still processing. Get back to me in a few months, I guess. I'm not really
Yeah.
sure.
I'll say, yeah, I'm sure like once you've actually gotten the chance to know that audience has gotten the chance to actually sit down, watch it, take it in, and you've
Mhm.
gotten the chance to be like, okay, like it's out there for the world that yeah, you'll kind of have a little bit more of a grasp like on that. But I completely understand with that. So Jason, you
Yeah.
play the character of Buddy in the series. What was the
Mhm.
what was the audition process like? Because obviously, there's the acting component, but you're also singing and dancing too. So what was that just like all of that like? And did you try out actually for anybody else? Because I know sometimes that happens where you might go for one character, but then you end up getting a role of another character. How did that all work out?
I know there was a lot of that in the rest of our casting. I auditioned for Buddy from the beginning. I got the tape for it, and the initial tape you had to send in like the scenes, and it was like it was I shouldn't spoil any of what the scenes were.
Oh, that's
There's some
fine.
scenes, select scenes from the first episode. Some of the bigger ones that Buddy has the first scene that opens the show, and one of the later ones. And then I had to sing a song too, so I picked "Longest Time" by Billy Joel, just because I was like, it's kind of doo-woppy 50s like Grease. I didn't know the tone of the music yet.
Yeah.
And then the callback it was a pretty long process, to be honest. It spanned like 2 to 3 months. We had a dance call that we had to do to some of Jamal's choreography. We had to sing one of Justin's song. There was a pick for each part that I had to sing "Sorry" by Justin Bieber, and I know like Ari plays Cynthia had to sing "Cake by the Ocean," and all these songs that Justin had worked on, which was kind of funny. And their big thing was you got to act it. We want to see you act these songs, which I remember being like, what? I don't know how to do that. And actually, my favorite part of the audition process was at some point, Buddy's kind of an athletic guy. He's the athlete of the series, although he kind of sucks. But they had me send in a tape of me playing basketball. I played basketball for 10 years in real life. He doesn't play basketball; he plays football in the series. But me and my friend went to a court in Pittsburgh, which is where I was at the time, and filmed as the sun went down. This little tape, and I put it together, and I put that. I wish I was a little bit taller. I wish I was that song over. It
That's
was
amazing.
pretty fun. I think that's what got me the part, to be honest.
Oh yeah, 100%. That's awesome. Yeah, no, I imagine that I feel like every audition is definitely tough and there's a lot that goes into it, but just like something like a musical like this where yeah, you had the acting, you had the singing, but you guys are also dancing too. So I imagine an audition for this must have just been like a whole new level of having to do all those different components. And like you said, it lasted quite a while just like for callbacks and stuff like that. So
It was a journey. It was a process, but well worth it at the end of the
yeah,
day.
I'll say worth it in the end. So we meet Buddy. We find out that he's kind of stuck in between who the people who like want to hold up the tradition at Rydell, and then there's those who want it to want to see change. What was
Yeah.
your approach to playing this character and bringing Buddy to life?
Yeah, I think when I initially was brought on, there was some nerves from me because you are portraying, at least from what I got from the audition sides, was this character who has this misogynistic element to him. And when I got there and I got to read some more of the scripts, got to talk to Annabelle, our showrunner, about the character, I was actually really, really excited because there's nothing like as an actor getting to play a character that starts somewhere and ends somewhere, you know what I'm saying? And obviously every character does that to a certain extent, but Buddy's journey throughout the series is substantial, and he starts in this place where he has this big beautiful heart, but but he doesn't really know how to use it, or he doesn't know how to stand up for himself with people like his dad or his friends. And so the journey of this person kind of figuring out how to be the good person he knows he can be it was so special to play. And for me with it, I was constantly reminded on set during the scenes where I say some things that aren't the nicest things in the world, that I kept being reminded this he's such a good guy. He's so nice. Like he's so nice. He really cares about her. He really cares about her. And so it was constantly coming from this place of good intention. So
Yeah.
he kind of has this he's kind of this bad guy. He kind of has this bad side, but he has good intentions always. He's always trying to do the right thing, even if he's falling short consistently.
Yeah, but I mean it's always nice I met like as an actor to or find that rewarding that you have a character that starts out in one place but then kind of goes through this journey and ends up
Yeah.
being almost like a completely different person by the end of the series or by the film. So can't wait to see how the rest of the series, plays out for sure.
Yeah, I'm
What was
excited.
uh what was your favorite part of getting to jump into this time machine and go back to the 1950s? Because everything like from the set, the wardrobe, it just looks incredible on the show.
It might be the wardrobe. That was always so fun. We had some long fittings for it, and I loved getting to try on all the stuff. And it's honestly affected the stuff. I'm pretty into style in my regular life, and it's kind of affect. I'd be trying on stuff. I'd be like, I kind of like this. Like, I might have to go pick something like this up.
Yeah.
Um, and so maybe the style, yeah, the sets were also wonderful, and just the speech of it's kind of cute and fun too. Especially Buddy has that, like, the golden boy, 50s golden boy attitude, and so he has a lot of the gosh and jolly golly and all that stuff. That's silly, but it's fun as well.
Yeah, it must be fun just getting to, that to act that out. Can you talk? So obviously a lot went into any of the scenes where you guys are doing like the musical numbers, the dancing and stuff like that. Can you just talk a little bit about what went into, those scenes like overall? And do you have a favorite musical number from the series for you personally?
Mm. It was a lot, but it was actually, I think, a little less than a lot of people assumed it was. Like the time we spent on it, we do rehearsals depending on how long the number was or how intensive the dance was. We do a few rehearsals on the songs on the weekends or during the week when we had some time. And so then when we went to film it, like each song probably took 1 to 2 days for some of the bigger group numbers, maybe 3 to 4, but for probably more 3. So for the most part, not like a super long time, but the shooting of it is just so fun. Like the music and the dancing, and we had some of the world's most talented dancers from Vancouver in our cast, and watching them take to the choreography was special. And I have a song that's just Buddy's song later in the season, and that was probably my favorite to film, just because it was a special experience for his journey, but also it's a special song too. When I first listened to it, I just felt blessed. I was like, oh my goodness, this is gonna be so fun to do. Um, my favorite song in the show though was Wally. Maxwell plays Wally, and he has a song later in the season that I think kind of smacks this beautiful mixture of the 50s sound and the modern sound, and the filming that goes along with it is so good. So I'm excited for people to see it.
Perfect. Yeah, no, I can't wait to check that out for that to pop up on the series then. So, for you, Jason, like out of all the different groups at Rydell, which one do you think your high school self would have fit in with the most and why?
Ooh, um, probably the Thespians, to be honest. They're really nerdy in our show. they're more like college thespians who are like really into the theater of it.
Yeah.
Um, but that was where I always found a home in high school and middle school when I was younger. I played a bunch of sports, and I love playing the sports. But I always found the people that I was most comfortable with in the artistic areas and in theater, and that's really why I kept doing it until I really found that it was something I was really passionate about, the acting part of it itself. But what kept me doing it when I was younger was just because all my friends were there, and that's where I felt like the most myself. So I'd definitely be a nerdy thespian. Yeah.
Oh, okay, perfect. So it's fun too that so then you kind of fit in there, but it's fun that you got to actually play a character that outside of what your group was like in high school. So that must have been,
Yeah.
fun to kind of like explore that. So what do you think it is about the world of Grease that makes it so timeless and keeps people coming back to this franchise as well as attracting new audiences? Because I mean, it's been obviously years since the original film came out. We've had the sequel, now we have this new franchise. What do you think people keep coming back to this franchise for?
I think it's the energy. On our set, we always said before takes, we'd be like, grease energy, all right, and action. Um, and I think there's something about it that is electrifying, if you will. That is it's in a world, especially now when everything is very dark and people are very into like the dark content. You see things like Ted Lasso or like this that have this beautiful light energy to it, and people fall in love with it because it makes them feel good. My mom always says, she's like, when I'm into like all the dark stuff, and I show her these movies or TV shows, and she's always like, I want it to end happy. I want to watch something that ends happy. And I think it's so shows like this, shows like Grease, that have that energy. I think that's special. I think the music. I think that's the
Oh yeah.
timeless music is such a big part of why it has such a big effect on people.
Yeah, no, and I think what you're saying to Jason is definitely right because yeah, I mean there's a lot of serious, a lot of I mean the world is, oftentimes so serious and a lot of dark content. So it's good to have that balance where you can just kind of you can sit down and watch something and just sit there and have fun. You don't have to it's
Yeah,
nothing any too like too serious, too dark. There is like the show definitely tackles like there's like serious conversations throughout it, but they do a good job of balancing that and then having that fun sensibility to it with the music and stuff as well. And I
yeah,
think for me too, I think with the franchise, there's just so many different groups of people in the high school that I think that everyone watching this show can identify with at least one person or one group from the series, if not more. So I think
mhm.
that, you can see yourself in one of these characters.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And is it looks like you guys, I mean, it looks like you guys had a ton of fun like filming the show like overall and like you guys had a great cast. What was it like just, kind of hanging out, in between takes or even when you guys like weren't shooting, what was it like hanging out and what was some of the fun things that you guys would do?
Yeah, so much fun. A lot of us are newbies. That was a big part of the casting process, is they wanted to cast people who hadn't done it yet, and the fresh new faces type of vibe. And they did. We cast like most of us had really not done anything before, and so we went out to Vancouver for these 7 months that we shot it in, and we had the time of our lives, really truly. It was during COVID still, so we weren't allowed to go out, but we would hang out with each other in our hotel and apartments, and um on set was so fun. It was fun to watch everybody work. We had some pranksters like Nicholas McDonough, who plays Gil, would get into people's trailers and kind of like mess it all up, and then he'd write with like lipstick or something on their mirror like Gil was here or something like that. And then the other T-Birds joined in with that shtick, and so everyone got their stuff all messed up at some point. And
That's hilarious.
um there was some napping corners, which was where I frequented, um, on set. Yeah, it was a great time. We had to make the best of what we could do, actually, but we did. We really did. The times we had together and the amount we hung out was so frequent. It was such a good time.
Yeah, you can tell just like the chemistry between you guys, and it really translates to the series, just like the chemistry, that comes across like on the screen. So the show came out fantastic. Is there anything else that you would like to say to the fans of Grease Rise of the Pink Ladies, and what is next for Jason Schmidt?
Um, I don't know. I hope you enjoy. I hope you take the time to enjoy it. It's meant to be fun, and there's some little lessons in there, but I hope it's an escape. I hope it's an escape from whatever you're going through. And then what's next for me is I'm working on some music, hoping to release an album in the next year or so. Really excited about that. I've been writing a lot for the past 4 years, and I've released some stuff here and there, but I haven't released a full album yet. And so it's kind of the span of my first, I guess, my first 4 years as a writer. And it's going to be some stuff that I wrote really early on and some stuff that I've just written, and I'm just excited about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I feel like it's always exciting. I mean, it's exciting putting out any music in general, but I feel like putting together like your debut, that first like initial project, just getting that out there to the world, I imagine that's gonna be a lot of fun just to kind of share your experiences, in the past like couple of years. So can't wait to, I'll definitely be on the lookout for that, Jason. And yeah, no, I can't wait. Like I said, I've gotten to see some of the episodes of Rise of the Pink Ladies. I love it so far. So I can't wait for everyone else to check out the show too. And yeah, man, just thank you again for taking time out of your schedule and coming on here and talking about like your career and just talking about the show overall.
Yeah, having me. What's up? I'm Jason Schmidt. I play Buddy Aldridge in Grease Rise of the Pink Ladies, and you're watching Pop Culture with Pat.